Hey, fellow tribe members, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series playing RimWorld named Tribe of the Sky. If you would like to skip the series overview, please use YouTube chapters. Tribe of the Sky is a miniseries where I start as 3 baseline tribe members living on an asteroid up in space. I am going to be using every DLC and about a dozen or so mods, I think it's more like 18 or something, to make living in space as a tribal start a bit more tolerable. The tribe prefers living in their cozy asteroid, but also yearns to live amongst a grove of trees, which is quite a predicament considering their environment. So, our home asteroid is unique. I made it in dev mode, as you can see in the setup, because I'm sure I'm going to get asked 1,000 times about it. So, it comes with a steam geyser. It has an overhead mountain, and it has a lot of buried metals in it, because otherwise you really literally couldn't play. It even has its own anima tree. Woo! How'd these 3 tribe members find themselves inside an asteroid floating out in a low orbit? I don't know. They just are. It's like they're duplicates or something. It's like oxygen not included, I suppose. They don't want to leave it, though. So the goal is to make it the asteroid that is as habitable as possible, suiting their needs. The storyteller is Cassandra Classic. Wow, words. Cassandra Classic losing is fun, with the caveat that children age at a normal rate, not at ×4. So it's slightly custom losing is fun, but like I didn't make it any easier. In fact, if anything, it made it harder because children are children for longer, 4 times longer, in fact. The goal is to permanently live on the asteroid Sky Island, which is the one we start on, and to expand the tribe. Expanding the tribe, however, is very difficult because basically the only rule is the people who join need to be tribal in origin. If you know anything about RimWorld, tribe members can never be found in space. So if we want to expand the tribe, therein lies the conundrum. But, you know, here's the mods, as you can see, slightly behind me. And, what was that? Oh, that's a star. Oh, okay. And then the ideology, which is pretty straightforward. Collectivist, tunneler, tree lovers, tree huggers, but also space habitat. It's very odd. It's very odd. I know. All right, here's our starting tile. Our beautiful starting tile. Yeah, well, we're definitely in space, but I definitely don't know what's going on beyond our tiny little cave. Oh, I didn't mean to unpause. We are starting off with about 1,000 pemmican, 375 steel, 525 wood, a spear, 2 bows, a garland seed, and some herbal medicine. That is it. That is what we start with. We also have an arc tree here, one of the terraformer trees that produces rich soil and oxygen, because oxygen is included, as long as we don't cut down the tree. Yoink! Just kidding. And then an anima tree. As you saw, one of the mods I was running, we are able to extract the anima tree so we can move it around and stuff. There's also mods that allow like trees to survive in vacuum and trees to be grown under overhead mountain. You know, a bunch of mods to like make this whole scenario possible, essentially. And the mod list, of course, is in the details. Starting pawns. So there's JD. Here he is with a big old smile. Man, he looks happy. And he is bloodlust, sanguine, and hypersensitive. He's a shooter, cook, grower, and medical. 43 years old with no health conditions. Then there's Tyrus. Tyrus is a nimble, tough brawler. Boy, is she someone not to mess with. And she loves melee, construction, mining, and crafting. She also happens to be the daughter of Quantum, our 3rd and final member. Quantum is a little bit older, so Ty is, 37, JD is 43. There might be some matchmaking that's going to be happening here. Who knows? But Quantum is a fast learner, super immune, iron-willed, and shooting, medical, social, intellectual. Those are our lineups. Now, currently, there is 100% oxygen in this cave-ish thing. Is it even a cave? What do you call like a hole that is completely enveloped? Right, a cave assumes that like you can enter and leave. This is just like a pit of doom or something. I don't know what it is, but there is oxygen. However, it is very, very, very cold. Right now it's negative 61 in there. And our gear allows for like 11 Celsius and 0 Celsius and 7 Celsius. So you could probably assume the problems that we're initially going to have. However, you're wrong. However, you are wrong. There's a steam geyser here. It's going to get so freaking hot in here, we're going to die. Can you believe it? We're going to die from heat in space. So, let's plan accordingly. I am going to allow all, and let's lay out a basic plan. So the basic plan is as follows. Wood is going to be a very much needed resource in order to passively cool the heat generated from the steam geyser so we do not die. Meaning that things are going to be built out of steel, because steel is a far more common resource up in this asteroid. Just take my word for it. I did build this asteroid with dev mode. So what I want to do is create, well, maybe not even there. No, that's fine. I want to create a like micro room here that we can initially warm ourselves in. That makes sense? With torchlight and body heat, because that's what we're going to be about. Start working on it, guys. And break. So at the start, survival is not guaranteed. In fact, it's not even easy. So I'm going to have to be righteously careful about how we proceed, because we are on like a razor's edge of death here, if you will. And it's going to be really important that I manage this very carefully. So over here, we're going to have a stockpile of stuff, because pretty soon I'm going to want to start growing fungus here. We are, of course, tunnelers, so we do not hate nutrifungus. And one of the reasons why I'm walling up the torch is so that it doesn't generate light. And then we can also move the anima tree because it also generates light. With that said, it's not a terrible idea to stick the anima tree here next to our research bench so it generates light for the research bench on its own. So I'll be doing that with fungal gravel soon. But let's go ahead and set up some assignments here. So, no medicine. However, carry herbal medicine. As far as the food policies go, nothing raw. And I'm going to call this no raw. Can you imagine how I came up with that name? Let's go ahead and I'm just going to do a lot of the management stuff right now, deleting the old policies. And thank you so very much for all the hype in the chat. I'll get to it in just a minute. All right, as far as the apparel policies, default is fine. I'll just call it anything, but anything with caveats. Anything that is not tattered or tainted. Now, JD would not mind tainted, but I can always force it. The other issue here is I don't necessarily want them to like strip down and get real cold, but whatever, we'll keep an eye on that. Social drugs are actually going to be no drugs for now, so this is going to become the new default policy, because I don't have drugs on me right now, but maybe someday we will. Now, our tribe does not believe in hard drugs. Our ideology, that is. As you can see, social only. So hard drugs are not part of the plan. But, you know, tea and beer is fine. Smoke leaf, etc. All right. Quantum and JD, get to moving. And actually, let's go one further. Oh, you know what? I can't do a ritual to assign roles right now because it's just too flippin' cold. It's the improper temperature for it. Now we do have another tree seed here, which we're going to have to plan to use carefully because they can't be moved once planted. They support the soil. They, you can think of the tree as part of the soil. So we're going to have to plan accordingly. But, you know, that's fine. I'm going to change some of the work orders. Fishing. Huh. Does that one tree make wood? I guess it's harvestable technically. I don't really know if you get some wood out of it, 24, but you probably wouldn't want to kill it because it is the thing generating oxygen. So if we have some sort of like surface breach and we cut down all of the Archean trees, we're like super dead because, you know, breathing without oxygen is well, it's rather difficult. I haven't actually figured out how to do it myself, and you know, as such, I think it's probably a bad idea to set us up in a scenario where that is required. All right, so I'm constructing the rest of the sort of cubbyhole closet, and then we're going to try to warm up because we are becoming hypothermic rapidly, real rapidly. Breathing without oxygen is possible, just not really advised. Yeah, let's agree to on that point. All right, everybody get in there because you're all gonna freeze to death if you don't. A little unknown mechanic here. Ponds, all living things in RimWorld, do actually surprisingly generate body heat. So if you stick a bunch of people in a really small room, they will actually get warmer. I know, it's weird. You wouldn't think it, but it's true. And then, I'm gonna have Quantum start researching electricity. Because he's smart like that. If you're wondering what my goal is, I want to get biofuel refining as soon as freaking possible. Because without it, we are not gonna survive. So that is very important. And then let's go ahead and lay down some grow zones. The trees are set to prevent cutting, so it's not like they're going to get cut accidentally. But what I want to do is grow some nutrifungus. All right, so right now, outside it is -51, and inside it is -48, and it should be warming up with the body heat plus the torch. The torch does generate a little bit, just a very little bit of heat. I didn't want to do a full-on campfire because wood is just that dang precious. All right, so everyone's getting hypothermia, but don't you worry, I think we'll be all right. And it says, like, I need colonist beds. I guess 1, 2, and 3. I don't really care where they sleep, not yet. And fortunately, because we are both rough living and temperature tough, we can deal with, you know, the rough swings of temperature pretty effectively. All right, Ty, I want you to start smoothing out the floors. I know, and it's already like -38 in here, so it's warming up. It's not warm, especially not in just like simple tribal wear. And most dangerously, Ty here is wearing patch leather, which is like a particularly terrible material. It has basically no insulation properties, like 9 degrees, whereas like Quantum has Mastodon leather, which is 29 degrees, and JD has even plain leather, which is 15 degrees. So the patch leather that Ty is wearing is absolutely bonkers terrible, and we got to be careful about that because she is very susceptible to hypothermia. And that's why I have them all locked in here, so that the door doesn't open and nobody leaves. Because, yep, serious hypothermia has already set in. All right, the activity feed. Cowley, K386, Goof, Winnie, Louie, Glitch, Islotus, Ty, herself or himself, Jens, GMT. Thank you for the resubs and the cheers. And welcome to the marathon. Okay, it is -24 in this little cubbyhole. If you're wondering, again, temperature tolerance is 0, 7, and 11. So we're hoping to get it above 11. Ty is getting the first bite of frostbite. JD, you are going to tend Ty by rubbing the frostbite. Actually, I mean, hypothetically, you could generate friction heat, you know, if you're productive enough, but that's not one way to survive. But it is getting warmer. It's almost breaking zero soon. And then outside, it is getting warmer because the steam geyser is outgassing. So the steam geyser is going to keep raising the temperature of this like cubbyhole of a cave until it gets unbearably hot. So again, I saw chat. I did mention this, but we don't need to generate heat. We need to generate cool. And passive coolers are the way to do it. In fact, I would go so far as to say it's very difficult to live in an overhead mountain with regular AC because there's nowhere to dump the heat. Right? So passive coolers is like gonna be pretty important for a very, very long time. Now there is some game mechanics that are at play that can mitigate some of the steam geyser, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, it is now almost zero in here, and JD is starting to get the first hits of frostbite as well. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like patch it up and to mitigate some like infection and like losing toes and fingers. But it is now 4 degrees in this little cubbyhole and getting warmer, which is going to be a little bit more tolerable. As soon as it is 11, Ty is going to be, yeah, it's almost 11. As soon as it's 11, Ty is going to be in okay shape because she won't, you know, continue to freeze. So hypothermia is probably capped out at about 48%. Needless to say, this was slightly rehearsed because there's not a lot of room for error here, as one might imagine. You screw this part up, you're just like dead instantly. Which sounds funny, but it's just not that funny. Outside is now negative 29. Alright, so other things that I want to queue up. We're going to want Nutrifungus, and we're going to want to mine out the areas that are blocked. I am intentionally leaving these 2 nuggets of Vaxstone because we need to support the overhead mountain. We don't want to cave in. It would not expose us to vacuum, but it would probably crush us to death. So, yeah. JD, I want you to extract this tree, and I'm going to let you outside. So go extract the anima tree and replant it for us. Offer, thank you for the resub too. There we go. Hypothermia coming down. And soon, the threat will be hyperthermia. Oh, temperature swings. How I love my temperature swings. Okay, so this dies in 7 days if not replanted. Quantum, move over a nugget and get that replanted. All right, so some other things that we're going to want pretty early on. One might imagine that some basic recreation is very nice to have. So I'm going to set a hoopstone over here. We don't even have chairs. But I think you can sort of like sit on a table-ish or sit on a sleeping spot to play a game of Who even knows? I mean, we don't even know how that game was played. We just know it exists. And it is pretty tempered in here. In this little cubbyhole, it is now 22 Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit. Pretty awesome for living in space. All right, everybody is munching on the pemmican. And then one thing I want to do pretty early on is ritual spot. I'm going to make Quantum our leader. Okay, anima tree has been transplanted. And this is just to generate heat for the research bench. All right, starting to get the games in so we can recreate because, you know, one thing I know about reading about reports of living in like McMurdo in Antarctica and things like that is you kind of go a little stir crazy. People like murder each other over games of poker. So making sure that we don't get too bored is actually pretty crucial here because there's like nowhere to blow off steam, right? So we got to be careful with that. JD is already playing Hoopstone. Wood. And things are going wellish for the start. It's still pretty warm in there. It's still pretty cold out here, so I don't really need to worry about the ambient temperature just yet. All right, Ty, I want you to mine over construct. Or, you know, rest, whatever. And then maybe grab your Obsidian Spear. I don't suspect we're going to have attackers anytime soon. One of the advantages of having Overhead Mountain here is, like, pod drop raiders can't pod drop raid. Basically, that would be, like, instantly fatal to tribals, because nothing protects us from vacuum, so if they're punching holes through the roof and letting out all of the oxygen, we're just dead. One pod drop raid would, like, kill everyone. So, for that reason, I, like, made it Overhead Mountain. You know, it's needed, I'd say. Okay. Here we go. It is now 4 degrees outside. 8 degrees. 10. And at 10, it is now growing season. So this is going to be the fungus among us. Fungus 1. Are insects a problem with the Overhead Mountain? You tell me. We shall see. All right, now we have the very opposite problem. The opposite problem being it's going to be too hot, not too cold. So, temperature, passive cooler. Ty, let's get that going. Build both, please. So Ty is now excavating the mountain that is blocking the trees. And JD is planting the Nutrifungus. And the intention is to research electricity and then biofuel refining to be able to make chem fuel. And having electricity plus chem fuel is going to be a wonderful thing. That combination is going to be the backbone of our little tribe for quite some time. So that's the plan. Wow, you were just addicted to Hoopstone. Okay, so now that we have some basic setups here, Quantum is the role changer, JD is the witness, and Sky Chief is the role. You're witnessing it through a door in another room in the dark. But, like, whatever. You do you. It's your tribe. You can be weird with it. That's fine. Anonymous, thank you for the gifted subs, and El Prismo for the resub. And Opford for the gifted subs, and Holodeck for the resub. Holy moly, a lot of love. Cheers. The door's held open for a reason. Yeah, it's mostly held open to allow the hot temperature from the geyser to bleed into this room. And then additionally, I'm going to break down these walls because one of the ways to mitigate the heat that is generated from the steam... Oh, failed role change. Yeah, you didn't actually attend, JD, dude. You just stood there and pretended to attend, and you never actually went there. It's embarrassing how little you did, but let's try this again in just a minute. Role change. Oh, I need to warm up. Okay, role change. Done. All right, so the reason I want a work drive is we need a work drive, the dude that, or dudette in this case, that mines. Because, as I was saying, one of the ways to mitigate the heat from the steam geyser is to create a much larger volume of space for it to, you know, to heat. So, we need to expand our living area significantly. Now, steam geysers, or rather, walled-up steam geysers have some really interesting properties, where, like, if you put it in a really small area, and then, like, vent the heat out, it generates a lot more heat than if you just gave it a lot of space to begin with. You can play with the mechanics yourself, but My point is, I know more or less, like, anecdotally how it works, and it's actually quite problematic. So we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to accommodate the, like, problematic game mechanics, because if we fail to do it, it will generate so much heat that it will kill us. Can't you just dump heat to a door with AC? No, because the heat has nowhere to go. When you generate heat, it needs to go somewhere. You can't just delete it. I mean, there are, like, mods that allow you to delete it, like vanilla expanded ancients, but, like, in vanilla RimWorld, you can't just delete heat. It don't work. Well, you can with a passive cooler, but you're deleting heat with wood. I don't know. It's weird. It gets complicated. Oh, I know what you mean with the exploit for the door. I'm not planning on using exploits. If you want to exploit your pants off, go for it. But negating a challenge by exploits is, you might as well not have the challenge in the first place. That's my stance. Okay, so we are laying down the fungal fields. Ooh, there's some flirting. It was not reciprocated. JD wooed Ty by describing her as a lovely lake. I mean, Ty doesn't know what a lake is. Do you see lakes? I don't see lakes. Alright, so it looks like all of the initial excavation is done. And my plan here is to plant another arc tree just to the south. So to excavate a large void for that now. So what I'm doing is I'm copying the plan. I'm going to paste it here. And then start mining. There we go. So we're going to have a 2 arc tree set up because I have seeds for another one. Okay. Looking good so far. It is staying pretty stable around 22C with our current setup. But what I want to do is I want to move away from a dual passive cooler setup because it's not a long-term sustainable thing because of how slow fiber corn grows. We don't believe in cutting down trees. We are definitely going to need to transition away from a passive cooled setup. Alright, we do have the stone cutter table, so we're going to make vaxstone. And vaxstone, thankfully, is like one tough stone. It's not particularly beautiful, but it will get the job done. And we've got 142 spots for Nutrifungus, and we're about 120 sown, so it's going pretty quick. And that's where the arc seed number 2 is going to go, right here. And JD is all smiles. What I like to see. Almost done sewing. And then once JD is done sewing, let's set craft up as a 333 or 332. 333. So that we can start stone cutting. So what I'm doing over here is I have the laboratory physically separated from everything else. The laboratory. So that our research speed is not negatively affected. And it's roughly clean. It's not like clean, but it's clean enough that like it gets the job done. So its research speed is not negatively affected by its cleanliness by any percents. so that we can push to electricity, so that we can get out of our you know, reliance on simple tech. Should we be worried about tunneling into space? Yes, we should. We need to make sure that we don't tunnel into space, and the thing is, we don't know where the edge of space is, right? Like, because I can't see it, RimWorld will allow me to mine infinitely. Now, there is the melee trick that you can use in order to try to, like, and again, I guess that's a bit of an exploit as well, but you can use the melee trick to try to figure out the, you know, the edge of a void, and I'll show you what that is. But the long and short of it is, we're in a big old asteroid, so it's not like we're gonna hit edge anytime soon. We're not that shallow. But here's the trick. Whereas if you try to melee, and it's a cancel symbol, it's something solid. Actually, in this case, I don't know where the edge is. This trick doesn't really work in this scenario. Oh no, it worked here. There's a void here. Or something. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think the trick's really working. It's like doing weird things. Yeah. So, we're blind. Oh boy. That's scary. Sorry. But yeah, I guess when your entire map is all fog, that trick don't really work all that well. Which is good to know. Super, super, super scary, but good to know. So Ty is mining, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize mining the areas that are gonna have the tree plant, and I'm also gonna move Vaxstone over here. Nope, just keep mining. Why are you hauling over mining? Oh, you're probably trying to eat. Alright, so this is the center point. And I'm going to plant the tree there. Cancel symbols the void. Yes, you're right. I think the cancel symbols the void. So this is solid, this is not solid. So, yeah, no, it does work. So there's a void here, right? But it's like, we're not close to edge around here. So like, the out space is about here, if you were wondering. How does it work with raids? I'm pretty sure waiting and seeing is a very viable option for you. You'll see. This has been play tested. I'm not. This isn't. This is not the alpha approach. I have played this scenario myself. I play all the scenarios I set up to make sure they're viable. So, because if they're non-viable, that's a pretty fail, and I don't want to set up a fail. I want to fail my own challenges. That's fine, but I don't want the challenge itself to be a fail. If that makes sense. What's the other seed in the stockpile? A Gau seed. Gaurland. You know, for the Dryad. We are, of course, tree connected, and we have Gaurland connection strong. We do want Gaurland trees, but, you know, at least initially, food is kind of the highest order of priority. But eventually, you know, Gau time will be time. And I planted this second Arco tree. We started with a Gau seed, an Anima seed, and an Archean seed. I love the setup. We're like throwing, you know, hoopstone at the builder. Now that we have some Vaxstone, I'm actually probably going to transition most of what we have built that can be Vaxstone into Vaxstone. because steel is still going to be a little bit more of an important material than Vaxstone. Vaxstone is kind of like everywhere. So it's not like Vaxstone is all that important to us. And here is going to be fungus too. Grow Nutrifungus. And one of the things you might have noticed is it's been sitting at about 25C. As we're opening up more void here, it has dropped down to 21C. And the other thing I want to do is mine there as well. In fact, I might want to mine this first. So that, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather have the lab be a lab. Maybe we'll do it like this. We want a laboratory. I'll mine out this void. I basically want my lab to be as small as possible, but it will consequently also be as clean as possible when doing it like that. So putting this here is gonna allow this all to be a void too. You have arrived to see what trouble you've caused? And you're trying to solve problems, I think. You're trying to solve the problem of electricity, which is no small feat for a tribe. Because if you didn't know, there's, oh, well, the walkability of this sucks. Let me fix that. Remove this. So tribals have a penalty to, to research speed anything that is in tribal level. Would I mind showing oxygen dissipation? There's nothing to see, it's just green. So, sure, it's green. It's not like oxygen not included where you can actually see gas flow. There isn't that kind of overlay for RimWorld. Nor would there really need to be, in my opinion. Either you can breathe or you can't breathe. There's not a lot of in between. Does vents give air? No, the steam geyser does not give air. Alright, I'm going to move the animatree yet again to move the lab a little bit. And then I'm going to go also cancel the smooth floors because it's not a big deal. Doesn't really matter. Let's replant this bad boy. Alright, there we go. So it's a slightly dirty zone in there. One thing I could do is concrete it up to help a little bit. And then, like, sometime down the line, remove the concrete and smooth the floor so it's just nicer. Smooth stone is obviously prettier. Where is the dirt? Yeah, it's just is. Okay, that's fine. Done. So now, if I mine this area, we can open up this void while also preventing the... Actually, you know what? I could just straight up get rid of the torch. I don't really need a torch there. Oh. And then deleting the torch, I can now delete the wall and the door because there's no light that's going to kill the Nutrifungus. Because that's the reason why I had the barrier there. Using a tree as a light source, just RimWorld things? I mean, why not? It's free. Doesn't cost me any wood. Seems smart to me. Bioluminescence is a beautiful thing. Alright, so the current priority right now is to dig a second fungal farm. And then I may have the opportunity to poll you about goals thereafter. We'll see. I think I want to haul over... Well, actually, let's do it like this. I want to haul over craft to put everything kind of away. And speaking of away, we can similarly include a zone here for stuff, because I'm sure we're going to run out of zone space. The nutrifungal growth rates are about a quarter ground, a little more. And we started with 1,000 pemmican. We're down to like 400. Of course, some of it is in our pockets. So let's call it like nearly 500. Ooh, we found gold. Which indicates that, yeah, if you aren't immediately planting nutrifungus, you're going to starve pretty quick. So I guess, in a way, this is a Klee-inspired game of a mix of oxygen not included and don't starve. Yeah. So let's not do either of those things. It sounds bad. So here I'm just replacing the steel stuff with stone stuff, because I think steel or stone is going to be a much more plentiful resource than steel. I probably shouldn't have honestly bothered to build the table. It's not like we're even going to use it. And the Fungus farm is about a little over a third of the size of the original one. Pretty good. Happy little cavelings. I like it. So, progress in the research. We are a quarter of the way. Not bad for tribals. 3,200 is brutal. Like, if we want to get geothermal power, it's 6,400 research, which is brutal. I mean, just, that's so much. What? Yeah, we are tribe. And to reaffirm that we're tribe, Hideaway is a tribal origin, Abandoned Child is a tribal origin, and Firekeeper is a tribal origin, so we're all tribals. We're actually tribals. I of course made sure of that. The table looks neat. It is tribe style. It is totemic. So we are totemic and animalistic. Right, we're going to keep excavating this void until we can expand into it. JD is making sure it gets planted. We're going to end up with like a lot of stone cut tasks. And the temperature's finally down to about 20 C, which is which means that the passive coolers are compensating for the geyser decently. Does the tunneler meme get rid of the darkness penalty? It does not. You need to love darkness to get rid of that, which is a totally different precept. So the tunneler, fungus is preferred, insect meat is loved, indoor is preferred, so there's no outdoor need. Mining yield is higher, mining roll is unlocked, but I'm not using it. Fungal gravel is a buildable, which is pretty crucial to this setup, because without fungal gravel, we'd be really in a hole. And, you know, there's an agreeable undergrounder trait, and you start with stone cutting. So starting with stone cutting is also nice, because we can initially cut the vac stone without having to research it, which would have been a delay in getting electricity. Yeah, I mean, in a way, we're in a space hole. That's probably a good way to phrase it. Welcome to my space hole. Me, I should sign up for cribs. I really dated myself there, I'm sure. We just refueled the passive cooler. Oh, we have a little bit more on pemmican. It was miscounting the stuff that we had not yet hauled. And the arc tree setup is getting there. So I suppose the next question I have for you guys is, what do I work on next? In terms of projects, what to build next? I can build, let's say, a proper lab, science lab, bedrooms, storage, kitchen, let's call it a Gao Grove or a Anima Grove. What else could be on that list? I like that list because I'm not going to worry about a workshop just yet. So that's not where that should be. Let's pump it up. And I'll give you 5 minutes to vote on that because it's going to take me a while to finish this this current project of digging out the fungal farm. Thank you for tuning in to RimWorld Tribe of the Sky, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow tribe members.